I want to point something out here in addition here so we understand the context of this particular growing environment and why we're doing things the way we are here. Basically, these rows here are on the banks of an 18-acre lake, Goat Refuge Lake. It's graded down towards the lake, so that's why the rows are planted parallel to the shore. And the reason for this is because it's about erosion control. You know, when it rains enough, we don't want rain gushing down some alleyway down there and creating a big rivulet, ravine, or whatever you want to call it, and flowing down and washing all our soil away. So that's why rows are parallel to the shore out here. It just so happens that they're oriented approximately north-south here, which is the way you would put it if it was a flat field, so that you have the sunrise in the east, then coming over and setting in the west and getting to both sides of the row. So this is an ideal growing shore on the lake here on the southernmost banks. But for us here, the erosion control takes precedence, as it should in most growing situations, and sunlight is deemed the access to the sunlight, the sunlight on the plants is not deemed any kind of a critical issue or priority here. There's plenty of sunshine here. So anyways, we just got done pretty much planting 2 rows, except for this one little final little section here. And again, I've been smoothing the row out and making little furrows a 1/2 inch deep here across the row. And then planting my beet sprouts across, distributing them across the little furrow, across the row in the little furrow. Some of them are bunched up a bit, but break them up carefully because some of them are just kind of fused together, and some seeds have, there's several sprouts coming out of one little clump, and that's the way it should be. So anyways, I got my little furrow, and I put the seeds in the multiple furrows, and I'm just putting a little soil over them, tamping it down, and if any are still sticking up, I might sprinkle a little over it, and that's how I've done this whole row. So they're already spaced now, 3 to 4 inches, and again, why would we do that again? Like I said before, if we do these little furrows lengthwise down the row, then it's more likely that rain and water could wash it down the slope of the row and then lose the spacing. With this, we're more assured of the spacing being 3-4 inches in this one dimension. That way, when everything's grown up a bit, then we can say, okay, let's thin this out a little bit here, that there's too many right here. Ideally, we want 2-3 inches between each beet plant, but sometimes the density's it's not a problem. I've seen people grow beets in high density, and they rave about it, and it's not so necessary to thin them out. But should we want to thin some, harvest some greens, some little baby beets along the way, and we can do that, and we're more assured here of a nice 3 to 4 inch spacing across the entire row. So that's the thinking behind that, and that's why I wanted to point out that these are on a bank, because it has to do with gravity. It has to do with water flowing down slopes, either on the macro level here on the banks of a lake or on the micro level here within these rows. So with that said, I'm going to finish planting. Again, there's the red mammoth fodder beets planted in one row and the early wonder in the other. And over here nearby we have some that were planted weeks ago, and they're doing pretty good. They need to be weeded. There's been some goats in here and they've stomped on some things. That's okay. We'll get a good harvest eventually out of this row. Keep in mind that these things grow with different spurts in the leaves and upper growth over 3 months, and then towards the final end of the 3 months, the final 1-2 weeks, that's when the roots really grow at an accelerated rate. Time-lapse video on beets is something you gotta watch. We'll try to include some links online for that. We haven't produced any time-lapse video like that yet. None in the works right now, but other people have, and it's extremely informative because it's just in those final couple weeks that the roots really grow, that they really grow out at an accelerated rate. So it's all about setting up the environment right and getting that green growth going, and then setting them up for that big exponential type growth in the last couple of weeks with the roots.